Okay, change of plan. For my own health and benefit, I'm going to start my set of going over every single orchid fast today. The reason being, I've decided to do them in the order they are in my notes, which there is no way I can remember. So it means going from the grow room back to the computer, back to the grow room, back to the computer. That's called walking about a bit, and that's doing me good. I've been practicing. So it's beneficial. So if I go about it that way, I'll be walking up and down until I've had enough. I'm not going to push it too much, but it's working, so that's what I'm going to do. Literally, by keeping them in the order of my notes, it actually puts some order into the videos. So, when I come to do the end of season update, I'll probably do it in the same order. That cross-references backwards. It should work quite well. So they're not coming out in best plants first, or good plants, or mounted plants, or holy pots. They're coming out in the order they're in my notes, which genus-wise is alphabetic. And plants within the sets are also mainly alphabetic, but not strictly. But whatever order they're in the notes, that's the order they're getting filmed in. And I'll see how far I get. Right, so we start with A. Arengus, top of the list. And I have 4. I did have 5, I've got 4 now. And I may only have 3 soon. Arangus cretata was quite a nice plant, and the whole of the main plant just died. It keeled over, no idea why, but then it's grown a new plantlet. So on the danger list, that one, not doing well at all. This one is Arangus decariana, and what can you say? Good root system, 3 spikes, 2 separate plants, new roots coming out in places, and continuously grows new leaves. You know what I mean. Top of the class, you mate. Arangus fastuosa. This has bloomed several times, and it's a small plant. They do get a bit bigger than that with age, if you can keep them going, but doing well at the moment with a plantlet coming out the side. Each plantlet that comes out the side is potential for extra bloom spikes. Doing good. And the last one on the list is Mr. Sidii. And again, good root system, continuously pushes up new leaves and has plantlets coming out the side. Not bloomed, but I don't see why it shouldn't in the near future. So that's the Arangus. And now I've just decided to update the plan again. My mounts need watering. Well, what better time to do them than while I've got them under my nose? So I'm going to add my watering into this, which means a bit of bending, a bit of stretching, and continuing with the walking up and down. Yeah? So I'll be doing that as well. It really is going to be lots of little clips. Right, next is the Brassia types. This one is Brassia Chieftain Ludlows. It's a primary cross. It has recently bloomed on a young plant, and it has new growths and a very good root system, doing well. This is Brassia Tessa, which is a Burnham's cross. It's effectively 2 plants in there that went downhill really fast. It's recovering well now. It's got 2 new growths, which should bloom down the line a bit. So coming on, that one. This is Brasada mivida. Lovely flowers on it, and quite honestly that's its saving grace, because this plant was one of the Ceramis plants, so it was stood in water with at least one plant that had the dreaded F. So the chances are this plant's got some in it too. Been treated, pushing up a new growth, making an effort to do some roots. So it's hanging in there, that one's called, hanging in there. You've got hedge written all over you. This one is, I forget what it is now, Bratonia or Miltassia. And they've lost my flipping tag at the show. But it's Shelob Tolkien. 2 blooms at the moment, another one just about to open. Good, strong, healthy plant, loads of new growths, doing very well. Thank you very much. A smasher. Brassivola types. This is a hybrid. This is Brassivola David Sanders, a non-bloomer so far. Oldest part of the plant on the top. This had to be unmounted to get the decaying moss out and then strapped back up again. It hasn't started new roots yet, but it has started 2 nice new growths which precede new roots. So, a non-bloomer. Reasons unknown. It lives next to this one, which is Brassivola nodosa, and they both need the same conditions. So why one would bloom well and get an award and the other one wouldn't, I don't know. This one got dropped, lost its 2 new growths, and it's now pushing up 2 more to replace those new growths. So a bit of a setback, but it's got some nice new roots on it and new growths coming on. So can't complain, and has bloomed well. This is a non-bloomer, and it's a notorious non-bloomer. This is Brassivola glauca, and effectively it's not anymore, it's Rhyncholalia. So it's changed its name. The centre of the plant on this got black rot and had to be rescued very fast. Literally, you need to get at that the instant you see it. Drop what you're doing, get at it, cut out the dead stuff, which is what I did. It left me 2 leads, one of which is pushing up 2 nice new growths right at the base there with new roots. And the other piece, the other end of the plant basically, has produced some good new roots and the eyes are starting to move. So rescued, not lost, and a non-bloomer. Come on. Okay, bulbophyllums next. I have 8 plants, one of which is a duplicate, so 7 types, 8 plants. This is bulbophyllum. That's not the first one on the list. That's the first one on the list. This is Crassipes, I think that's pronounced, or Crassipes, whatever you want to do. Pushed up 1 nice new growth and escaped from its pot. You are a nuisance, but at least you're growing. Next one is Deary. This one aborted a new growth and dropped a leaf at the same time on one of the other bulbs, but since then it's grown another nice new growth, so it is actively growing and it looks like quite a tidy type of bulbophyllum. Coming on, this one, Deletescens. This one's recently bloomed, had 2 spikes, both gone over now. This is its latest new growth, pushing out roots down, getting a hold, sitting waiting for more new growths on that one. These 2 are Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry. These are back bulb divisions, which are unstable in the pot. It was leaning against something and it's not now. New growths pushing on. I don't know whether I've got 2 new growths on one bulb or 1 new growth on each of the 3 back bulbs, but growing. So coming on nicely. The mother plant, yeah, that's not going to stand up. You're going to be a nuisance, aren't you? The mother plant over here, Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry, that's bloomed twice for me. So, you know, it blooms at least. Nice new growth escaping from the pot and now pushing on another nice new growth, which will also be out of the pot. It's also got another one round the back there. So growing on quite nicely, but it's not going to stay in that pot. I can see it coming. So that's Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry. Alphabetically, where do we go now? Blah, 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 blah. That one's next. That's the bulbophyllum Phalaenopsis that I got from Archie. It made an attempt at blooming, but it didn't really form a proper spike. Depleted the bulb. There are signs of new roots underneath that giant of a bulb, and it needs new growth, or it's not going to survive. So watching with interest, I think that one comes under. I've got 1 mounted one. This is a nice little miniature Skimensi. Yeah, Skimensi, that'll do. Loads of new growths on this one and good new roots pushing out with those new growths. Non-bloomer so far, but a tiny little compact bulbophyllum. Those I can live with. Very nice little plant, love it. And the last one is my best of the large ones, which is Wilbur something. Wilbur Chang, so a hybrid obviously with a name like that, and lovely strong new growth coming out here. Compact rhizome, stays tight, should manage to keep itself in the pot for a while. Lovely leaves on that one, love that plant, non-bloomer so far. Okay, on to the Cattleya Alliance then. This isn't all of them, it's just as many as I want to do in one go, and then I'll get these out the way and get some more up. But this is a, what is it? It's a Brassocatleya, and it's an iffy plant that appears to be recovering, but still not looking good. It's Little Mermaid, variety Janet, and once upon a time it was an awarded plant. You can get much of an award for that. But we have got some new root growth, and we have got a new growth on it. That's hanging by a thread. The next one is a recent acquisition, Cattleya Angel Heart. So it's a named variety. Lost that new growth, pushed up this one that was very young when I got it, and root system going mad. Infected plant that's been treated, and I would suggest that the treatment was well in good time on the grounds that these roots are doing well, and so is that new growth. So a recovering plant, but I'd say it's recovered, but it doesn't come off the list yet. Next three are no ID hybrids, bloomed successfully. This is a lovely orange one. Aborted that new growth and promptly started another one. Good root system, getting down in the pot, well, in it and out of it, coming on nicely. This is a split, so these two are the same plant basically, and it's the big blousy magenta one that bloomed earlier in the year. This piece, nice good new roots, nice new growth. This piece, new growth pushing on with a sheath. Whether it'll come to anything, we'll have to wait and see, and it's just starting a new root system. That was the poorer piece compared with this one. I see no reason why that shouldn't develop a sheath and bloom. Whether that one does, I don't know. But those are the three no ID hybrids. This one is the Ivanagara apple blossom, or Iwanagara, however you want to say it. And I know the name's changed, don't spark off. Got sunburnt, got singed, far too much light, reduced light, pushing out a good root system currently, and a single new growth on that one. It's not my healthiest looking plant by any means, but it has the chance to get going. So yeah, okay. Another bonus. By going through them in order on my notes, I'm noticing some discrepancies, and this is one. This is Young Min Orange, so it starts with Y, so I stuck it in at the end of the set, whereas in actual fact it's a BLC, so it should be at the start of the set, shouldn't it? Duh. Irrespective of its order, mass blooming earlier in the year, stunning, beautiful sprays of lovely bright orange flowers, gorgeous plant, love it, came from Chantel. Two lovely new growths, one coming out each side, and there are signs of some other eyes that might follow on behind, and a mass of new growths, roots from those new growths. Happy plant, me happy with plant too. Nice one. I've got two Lalias, and as far as I know, they're still called Lalias. This is Ansept, sorry, didn't do very well on its mount. Since it's gone in the holy pot, it's done a shed load of new roots and two lovely strong new growths. A long way off blooming, but it has bloomed. This is a new one, came from Malvern, from Equigenera. I have to get the tag out on this. Lalia purpurata, variety Atropurpurea. That's a mouthful. It had two small new growths on it, even though it didn't have very good roots. The new growths are pushing on nicely. They're both up one end of the plant, which in the future will be an advantage because the back end will come off eventually unless it sprouts. And those two new growths are now pushing out very good roots. So although I had doubts about getting one from Equigenera, that's doing good. So I'm pleased with that one. Blooms are gorgeous, and blooms on Lalia Ansepts need no introduction from me. Stunning. So two Lalias, both happen to be species, and it's just dawned on me I haven't got Cattleya species, but I do have two Lalias. Right, last two in this little set are the two mounted ones. This is actually a Sophrocattleya, although the chances are the Sophro element's been renamed Cattleya, so it's a Cattleya. Recovering plant, and it's actually three pieces, but it's recovering well. Right hand side of the shot, lovely strong new growth, good new root growth. That's a tiny little piece. It's effectively 3 bulbs and that new growth. The next piece behind it is also 3 bulbs and a new growth and a nice set of new roots again. And then the larger piece on the left hand side has it's got 2 new growths, as in just starting, and 1 poor quality little growth that it actually grew in the winter, and that one there with the 2 leaves, that's the latest one that's matured, which isn't bad at all, which is where one of the new growths is now pushing out. And it's done a good root system. So if all 3 pieces have taken, which I didn't expect, and all have their own root systems and are growing new growths, it can stay on there and develop into one hell of a plant. And what would be really nice is lots of blooms at the same time, but any blooms would be appreciated. Not yet. That's that whopper. And the other one is a little miniature. Now, this is Sophronitis cernua, and that is its size. I mean, it will expand, but that's as big as the leaves get and the bulbs get. This blooms on and off. It's got some nice new roots and no actual brand new growths at the moment, but the new growths that it had not long ago have now matured, so it may push out some more and it may bloom again this year. That, I believe, has also been renamed Cattleya. Most of the Sophronitis moved into Cattleya, so it's probably Cattleya cernua now. That's the end of that set. Right, Coelogenes then. There's a lot of duplicates in this little group. Things have been split up, put into separate pots, taken off of mounts. Quite a bit going on here to try and get them right. These two are both cristatas and basically potted up not that long ago, and they are now really taking off. Some of these new growths are better than I have ever had, and there's a good few of them. So I really would like those to bloom for the first time. But it's a variety Lemoniana, named after the person who named the hybrid, version variety. I'll get there in a minute, my mouth won't work. And it's basically his name was Mr. Lemon or something like that. But this particular variety of cristata does have a slightly paler yellow in the centre that does look like the skin of a lemon. Pure coincidence. Pure coincidence. Right, these 3 are all the same. This is Coelogenes fimbriata. Lovely autumn bloomer, and I've got signs of buds now, so I am going to have some blooms on. That one's got 2 lots of buds coming. Well, so far there's new growth still to mature. That one's got several and has still got new growths to mature. This one hasn't long been in the pot, but again there's at least signs of buds. So I think all 3 of those are going to bloom. That's an October sort of thing, as from memory. Have bloomed before. It's the only Coelogenes bloom I've ever had in this grow room, but there's more to come on that one. 3. Right, so this little one here is Coelogenes flaccida. Spent a year doing nothing. It's now got 2 new growths, one pushing on nicely and another one coming along here. So at least it's doing something now, and it's doing something in the pot as well, which is a real bonus because that had no roots when it was potted up. This one's had a name change. It was Orchids and it's now Nitida, which is a lot easier to say. Very, very young plant, new growth this year, maturing. Not matured yet, I don't think, but difficult to tell. Highly unlikely that that's going to bloom for another 2 years or more. Probably the same with this one. We'll have to wait and see. Both young plants, so coming on. Stand well back for this one or it won't get in shot. It's a whopper. My hand. This is a big plant. I've now discovered that these distortions on the leaves are pure and simple and probably blatantly obvious. Lack of hydration. Lack of hydration reason, got repotted and had a poor root system done just when these 3 growths were new, which I thought would be a pretty good time. But so far those new growths are only just starting to put their roots out. So obviously the older bulbs desiccated quite badly, and another mistake on my part. What happens with Orchiata bark when it's brand new? Yeah, it dries really fast. Well, it pays to keep it well watered when it needs it, and it didn't. So that's the result. Distorted leaves, those 2 new growths trying to run off 1 pseudo bulb. Yeah, and didn't do it very well. This new growth, with its flower spike, is off of a bigger and stronger bulb, so capable of blooming at the same time as growing, which is a weird trait, but that's how they go. Spike out the top when the growth looks quite young in comparison with a mature growth. So that one's going to bloom. That's Coleogyne, Moriana, Magnifica, Brockhurst. It's easy for you to say. And that is a natural break. We've done A's, we've done B's, and we've done C's. You can work out what comes next, can't you? And I'm not trying to do that today with a diggy back, basically. It's just too many plants all over the place to get into one place and actually film today. So this one closes now, but it gives you an example of what I'm trying to do and the rate at which I'm going, the speed at which I'm going. I'm not stopping and going over each plant in any great detail unless there's something like that to actually say. Otherwise, they get whipped over pretty quick. So obviously we get on to D next, and that's a biggie. It might end up being self-contained and just do them all as a separate set. Depends how I'm moving around, shall we say. Okay, so thanks for dropping by, and that's the taster rate really, the A's through the C's, and we'll move on in the next video. So thanks for watching, see you again next time.